We'll go forward from that. Mike?
All right. Thank you all for coming. My name is Michael Bossetta. I'm a political scientist at the University of Copenhagen. I'm going to skip all the pleasantries. I don't know if I'm going to make 8 minutes and go straight into the aims of my talk, which are to share some trends in the political uses of social media data, sort of the cutting edge and what I think is the future. Present a challenge for practitioners using social media. I know this is a broad audience, but I really want to speak to practitioners and people who work in institutions and how I think social media can be used for positive democratic effects. And I want to offer prescriptive solutions for the challenge that I will pose. So, my core argument in responding to the themes of the panel is that platforms and algorithms can only be held to account when they are used maximally and effectively, when the technology is exploited for positive democratic effects. This requires a sufficient amount of experience that is built through trial and error, and moreover, innovation. Attempts at innovation, whether they're successes or failures, build experience that allow you to use all the features and technologies of the platform. So I think we all know in this room that not always is the cheapest option the best option. It's time to pay for premium features. And I'm not a spokesperson for these platforms. I think there's a lot of negative effects such as tech addiction, but I do think that while foreign governments are exploiting these technologies and various numbers of campaigns, why can't institutions as well? Okay. Micro-targeting, I'm not going to go into it. I have plenty of resources I can send you that break this down step by step, but basically what I want to emphasize is that polling and research is done on a small group of the electorate that is then broadened out to what's called lookalike audiences by bringing in multiple data points, whether those are collected by the campaign or purchased. Those groups of individuals, not individuals themselves, are targeted as a group. And then there's A/B testing that Ian was talking about, feeding into real-time analytics. That if it's not working, you go back in your chain and figure out where is your micro-targeting strategy not going right. What I think is kind of on the more cutting edge is what's called micro-influencers. And with changes in Facebook's algorithms, there is a downplay in content published by pages, and individual users' content is prioritized more. So your average user on Facebook becomes more of a micro-influencer within their network. And these users can be harnessed to basically give social endorsements. And you can tap into personal networks you otherwise wouldn't with targeting through having people share your content. This idea that they are micro-influencers within their social network. If mobilized effectively, these micro-influencers can give you higher exposure and more influence than targeting would otherwise because of this social endorsement, because people put their faith, credit, and trust behind what they're sharing on social media. The third trend, I think this is probably the most important, is third-party software. So I'll give you a few examples. This is a group out of the UK called Activism. They develop chatbots that can be used by governments in order to have citizens basically take surveys and give feedback on policy proposals that on the back end can be mined with sentiment analysis, clustering algorithms, topic modeling. So it's a way to both reach out to the constituency with a new technology embedded through Facebook Messenger, and it gives policymakers the ability to analyze data at scale about what citizens want. The second is an organization called PAC. It's a startup that it's similar to Thunderclap, if any of you know that, where basically it has people tweeting or sharing on Facebook at the same time, which games those algorithms. It exploits the algorithms of Facebook and Twitter. So you have what are called wolves in the PAC, so your users, and 293 wolves for the Scalp in the UK has a potential audience of 290,000 people. So when these all tweet at once, it gets hashtags trending, and this is being used by advocacy groups and campaigns. The third, which I think is probably the most interesting, is the use of canvassing apps. So there is a right-wing company in the States called UCampaign. They developed a mobile app for both the Trump campaign, Brexit campaign, numerous right-wing campaigns around the globe. And what this does is it allows you to basically harness micro-influencers by having them text message everyone in their network, or allow them access to the contacts in their phone for future micro-targeting, or have citizens collectively tweet their representatives. It's all integrated into the app, integrated into social media, and it's portable across different campaigns. So these types of third-party softwares, I think, are really using and exploiting the technology behind social media. Campaigns are doing it. I don't know why institutions aren't doing it. And if you're interested in these technologies, yes, Tracey, Ian, thank you for plugging the podcast. You can check this out. I've interviewed all of the creators of these technologies, and I know there's some students and journalists in the crowd. There's tons of information in here, so feel free to check it out. Okay, the challenge, I know I'm short on time, is for institutions to innovate ways to use social media for positive democratic effects. What do I mean by that? To both deliver and also receive valuable information from your constituency, encourage constructive communication among your supporters, create spaces for them to engage in civic dialogue, facilitate active participation with your content by giving them things that add value to them and are engaging. In short, offer opportunities to enact citizenship via social media. For many, this seems like rainbows and unicorns, like it's outside the realm of possibility. It is not. It's very much within the realm of possibility. And I think, how is it going to happen? It's going to be driven by institutions. You need to have high resource, high organizational capacity institutions to drive this process. Partner with tech platforms and third parties. I think Facebook and Twitter, these companies are really experiencing like negative PR because of all this Russian disinformation. I'm sure they would love some positive PR by working with governments at the local, national, and supranational level. Invest in communication, data analysis, and AI. That's the future. And hire tech-savvy staff. People coming through university are learning how to code. They are interested in using these technologies for civic good, so they will be on the market soon. But there's risk in social media communication. Institutions might respond. There's financial risk, reputational risk, and operational risk. But I would argue no risk, no reward, and you can mitigate risk through technology. They're exactly the type of processes and methods that Ian just talked about. You can beta test what you do before you sort of let it go live. You A/B test, do your research and polling, know what you're doing, build experience, and mitigate that risk. I think that the rewards outweigh the risk here. Lastly, people are willing to give data. It costs nothing to them to allow you access to their contacts and their data points, and if they believe in your cause, they will give over that data. This is what campaigns are doing. Because if institutions don't innovate, campaigns will, and they have. And this is a large part for some of the political volatility that we see in different parts of the globe that many in this room would disagree with. So, thank you.
Right. Hi. Before I start,